All right, salute. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate it. If you're new, welcome. Throw me some love, subscribe, keep the comments. Cool. But with that being said, I want to talk about something that, I have made a decision to document my entire journey living, over the past several years now, from the decisions, like from my mindset before, to the decision to leave America and move here to Thailand. 19 months roughly. I've been in Thailand since I got here May 15th of 2023. So I've been here quite some time. So today I want to talk about something really important. Most people don't talk about this, but I want to talk about, of course, being 19 months in, and this is November 9th. 2024 or 2567. If you live here in Thailand, you know what I'm talking about. It's the year 2567 BE here in Thailand. But with that being said, I want to talk about three of the things that I could have never expected and three of the things that have really completely reshaped everything, unexpected realities, things I couldn't have planned for. And it like what I'm trying to get at is that planning doesn't really matter. You cannot plan, but you have to prepare. So with that being said, if you plan to move here, and I'm not talking to you guys that have been here before or, only those who've been on like 2-week millionaire vacations and stuff. I'm talking about people who've come here for a month or two at a time and traveled and seen it, or they have intentions to move. Those people, they know what time it is. This video is not even for them. This video is for the people, even looking back on myself, when I plan to come here and visit 3 countries to see which one I like best. Thailand was the first country I came to. It's the country I stuck with, but it hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been easy. But I don't want to keep you guys too long. The first point I want to make, one of the least expected things that you can never plan for, but you need to prepare for, is that planning is pointless. Planning is pointless. And I'm not saying, oh, screw it all. Just know, I'm talking about you trying to plan something from over there and you not being here, and people that live here know exactly what I'm talking about. It's foolish. It's pointless. You're going to back out. You're not going to like it. You have no idea what you're doing. When you come to Thailand, you have to learn to go with the flow. I meet people all the time. We meet so many people that coming through our bar and stuff, good people, honestly, people that I met yesterday from the Netherlands. They're going back home today. They've been here a month, and I told them, basically we were talking. They were, I'm not lecturing people, but they were talking, oh, we planned this, and this, and this, and I was like, I know you're exhausted, and they were like, yeah. I was like, well, I'm telling you, prices are just as good if you really don't plan. I'm just saying, if you come at the high season, yes, you want to plan a little bit, but don't over plan your trip when you come to Thailand. I'm not just your trip, but if you plan to live here or move here, trust me, you're going to want to feel it out. You're going to want to meet people. You're going to want to bump your head. You're going to want to know these things before you make big, major decisions. And even if I was on vacation, this isn't just about big decisions. Even if I was on vacation, I would encourage you, if you have a month, just plan your flight in and your flight out. Book your hotel for 3 days in Bangkok and then plan it from there. See what you feel. See how it goes. Just go with the damn flow. You can't fight things here. You're not in control. You are not in control. You're not in control of what happens here. Yeah, you're in control. I've got a flight here or there. You're not in control of the best experience. If you want the best experience, you have to go with the flow. Book your flight in, your flight out. Book yourself a couple days, maybe a week. Up to you. Depends on how much money you got in Bangkok. And then when you get to Bangkok, sleep off your jet lag, wait it out, and then start to kind of go with the flow. I had so many different ideas of what I was going to do when I got here, and none of them, not all, most of them didn't pan out. And it wasn't because I failed. It was just that it was just not what I expected. Things are just not the way it is here. Shopping for groceries, transportation, rent. There's so many things I can't describe that that you can't really understand until you get here. The unexpected rain, the grabs canceling, and you need a ride somewhere, you just can't explain just the way it is here. So don't try to plan it out too much. Wait till you get here, buy yourself a few days, sleep off your jet lag, and plan it from there. It's not going to cost you any more. Just go with the flow, see who you meet. You never know. And I'm not going to say universe or karma. I don't want to talk all spiritual, but just let it take you where it takes you, bro. Just let it lead you where it leads you. Just let yourself be led. Just kind of let go. You got to let go. This is you have to let go. You have to. Moving on. Number 2. Living here will absolutely lower your standards. Not in a bad way. It will lower your standards, I'm talking about expectations of anything. Not in a bad way. It will, because coming from a Western society into especially Southeast Asia or Thailand, it's a culture shock. You see how happy people are with, it's not about materialism. There are certain elements of that here, yes. But for the most part, you see kids playing in the street, out there chasing with sticks and stuff, laughing, having a good time. I see the kids still putting, running over an empty Coca-Cola can, running up in their bicycle, shit we used to do 30 years ago, and just laughing, having a good time. And everyone's just, your standards of what entertains you and what makes you happy is way beyond what it should be. And this is a good thing. It's a hard thing to swallow, though, when you first start to experience this. This means that you don't need to come here and spend a bunch of money living in a penthouse. And this is going to all tie into my third point, which I'll get to in a minute. But coming here trying to live Western style, you can absolutely do it, and not that much money. But the truth is that none of this will bring you happiness long term. You're still going to get lonely. You're still going to sit there and seek out your purpose and ask yourself, you're going to have those nights where you're wondering, what am I doing with myself? Should I be here? Am I being treated right? And honestly, as you live here and you experience these things over a long, prolonged period of time, you'll start to see how society organizes itself. And you'll start to understand it, not just what you see when you first get here. It's basically trying to bring your standard of living down, not in a bad way. You're not happy with all that materialism crap. Most people aren't. I'm not. Some people are. Some people, listen, kudos to you. Do your thing. If you want to come over here and drive mirrored Audis and stuff like that, I'm telling you, you can do it. But it's not sustainable happiness. If you're not if you plan to stay here a long time, or if you plan to really experience it, you have to let that go. All that crap don't matter to most people here. So this is where it really starts to break down, and the humbleness and how people treat each other, and you start to see these interactions. It really starts to bring down your standard of living of what you thought you wanted or needed, what you're accustomed to from your country. And to me, even if I can't afford it, I don't want it. Happiness here is having freaking awesome neighbors, man. I got so many stories. We've got some old neighbors, 2 houses down. They are so, they cook us and bring us food. We bring them food. We loan them dishes. She brings by her blender, and she loves my food. She wants me to cook, because I cook American food for her. And they're old. We call them Ta and Yai, which is what you call older people here. It's a term of respect, but they're wonderful. And she sells beer too, which is convenient because it's right there. Everyone's an entrepreneur here. So I love this part about being in Thailand. But it brings down what the hell you're accustomed to, what you're spending. You start to really question. You start to feel guilty about going and spending more money, starting to go to the nicer restaurants. Not because anyone's making you feel guilty. It's just if you live here a long time and you plan to integrate and experience it, you got to let that shit go. Man, it's the local stuff. That's where it's at. The local stuff is where it's at here. And this brings a lot of heartbreak with it too. So it is a double-edged sword, because you do get attached to people and things happen. I've known people that have been killed here. Like seriously, I knew a guy who was 23, had a baby, less than a year old, wrecked on a motorcycle. It was a while back. I might have mentioned it on one of my videos. And like, yeah, he died and left the baby and the parents, and it was just horrific. But to see how the community just came together, that was amazing. And none of this is on the news, like Channel 5 news at night. All of this stuff is just word of mouth. It's just the community effect that exists here. So it is a great thing, but you got to live within your means and lower your standards. And not saying your standards of what you expect. I'm talking about what you, like, you shouldn't like want all that crap. That stuff doesn't bring happiness here. It doesn't bring happiness to anyone. Money is the root of all evil in a lot of ways. I'm not saying that having money isn't important, because if you don't have any money, you're screwed. There is that. So, but it's just like, don't go out spending a bunch of money, man. You can live really happily on, you know, $1,000 to $1,400 a month. But the more Thai you learn and the further out you move, the more you integrate, the cheaper that gets. Like, that price is too high in my opinion, even though that might seem too low or really low for you. But if you come over here with that attitude, then you don't mind blowing it. But the truth is that the longer you live here, you realize you're blowing money you don't need to. Last but not least, this is number 3. This last point I want to talk about, and this is tough, but this is the depression. The depression that sets in, and most people don't talk about this. I probably really never mentioned this, but I've been here not quite 2 years, but that depression sets in. No matter what you do, no matter how well things are going, no matter how much money is in your bank account, like, you're going to get this overwhelming sense of questioning yourself at some point of living here. And it's going to happen. It's going to come from time to time. I've had it happen twice. I would say that I've been through this twice. Like, and I wouldn't say through it. Like, I'm coming through some stuff. Like, even now, I'm not dealing with any bullshit. It's just personal. Like, you just can't explain it. Like, you know, I'm about to make a big decision, about to get married and all that stuff. And, you know, and maybe it's that, maybe it solidifies it even more. It's scary in a lot of ways because you're still way over here in a foreign land. You know, a lot of people don't think about this. You know, when you come on a tourist visa, I mean, you're free to go, but you're not free to be stupid. But when you live here long term, and your reputation that follows you, and how important that is when it comes to your price and your cost of living, your standard of living, and how you integrate with the society and culture. Not to mention learning Thai, which is freaking hard. Thai is so hard, I'm telling you. It is so hard to learn. Thai is so hard to learn. I'm telling you guys, it's going to take me years. But, like, honestly, these things, like, are things that people don't think about. You know, you got to think about your habits, your drinking, your friends. Like, you get sick of the same shit. You get sick of the mundane crap. You get sick of going out. Yeah, I know it was fun. I had a couple beers, you know, met some people here. You know, maybe that happens a couple times, but at some point, you've been here 6 months. It's like, why am I going to this fucking place? Those people have already left. And now you're left with an empty hole because you're chasing something you don't need to chase. And this takes a while to break out of this mindset. It took me a minute because it's very intoxicating it's really easy. I've got so many fun stories. I had a great time. I'm not going to bitch and complain. I'm not sitting here saying, well, my life sucks. My life is great. But believe me, there were times where I seriously was like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing with myself? What goals do I have? How am I changing my habits? My sleeping routines and stuff. Like, there's a lot of things. I'm talking about long-term planning, long-term thinking, like starting to really understand what it is. This is your reality. You're not just going to hop back on a plane and go back to your home country. You can, but why would you go back? You've made the decision to come here long-term, and I'm specifically talking about those that come long-term. Why would you go back? For what? There's nothing there for you. You need to figure it out here. There's something that led you here. There's something that guided you, some inner like voice or something like some inner tug at your heart that pulled you to make that decision and leave. And I'm not saying it has to be here, but I'm telling you, going back is a lot of times a mistake. Figure like, I know it's going to suck. You're going to cry. You're going to have those hard nights where you pray to God. Like, what is it? You're going to dialogue, categorize. Like, I've got a freaking journal. I mean, I keep up with everything. Even some of my craziest thoughts I write down, bro. I want to see what I was thinking at that time. I want to brainstorm. I want to evolve. I got to figure this shit out. There's like, I'm not accepting anything less. Like, I'm going to figure this out. But this is why depression sets in. It's because people come here and they don't have a purpose. It's easy because when people talk, oh, you can retire, save up, retire, that sounds great. Never have to work again. Travel, beaches, cocktails, margaritas, daiquiris, topless chicks, all like cruises and traveling the world. Oh, that sounds great. But by the time you retire, at least for a man, when a man doesn't do anything, a man doesn't feel like he has a purpose, a man dies. A man dies slowly inside. And this is why I'm talking about this. And I hope this is the most important part of this message to you. When a man stops working and doesn't feel like he has a purpose, this is what destroys a man. I would rather work until I croak than retire. Like, I want to have money. I don't want to stress about money and all that stuff, of course. But I want to have something. I want to do something, even if it's nonprofit or helping someone. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a drive. You have to have something you're doing to contribute or just to kind of release that into this world. This is why, to me, a lot of guys struggle with, and I see it. Not everyone. There's a lot of guys that come here and work and make things of them, make some bodies of themselves, or they're going to college and they're like opening up startups. And there's a lot of tech startups going up here and a lot of breweries. There's a ton of shit going up. Like, our economy is doing pretty well. But there's a lot of guys that come here, they're 60 years old. They're not working. They're old and fat. They know it. And they see these younger guys. Like, I'm not even saying me, but I'm younger than them, but there's guys way younger and better looking and more buffed out than me. So it's not that I'm like meat gazing or any of that shit. I'm just saying, like, it's just, you got to be honest. You're sitting there wondering, like, you can't watch other people doing something and you got no drive and no ambition to do anything. You want to be doing something. You have to do something. And it's hard to find that because you're going to go through a low period where that nostalgia wears off and you really literally walk around and you're like, damn, I'm in a foreign country. I'm here now. I'm living here. I've already left it all behind. What am I going to do now? Even if you've got $1 million in the bank, what are you like? Still, I don't care about money. If I had $1 million in the bank, I still want to do something. You got to be a part of something. You have to contribute. You have to put your hands and your mind to work. You have to always exercise these things. It's not about just exercising in the gym. You got to exercise your mind. You got to exercise your social skills. You've got to really push through a hard part of your life. And I would argue this is probably one of the hardest things that's really tough to talk about. And I know that I would assume that people have been here longer than me. I wouldn't say I know, but I would assume people who've been here much longer than me have been through several of these stages, and each one can be harder than the previous one. So it comes in phases. You'll get your mind right. It'll kind of force you into it. I can't explain it. But this is kind of ties in what I was saying before, is like going with the flow. Like trying to make too many plans. You're going to fail. Most likely. You can't control what happens here. You can't control it. You are relying on them, and you're relying on a system that you have no authority to go up there and say, I don't like this. Like, it doesn't work that way. You are at the whims of how the ebbs and flows in society. And this is it's a good and bad thing, as long as you can learn to let go, embrace it, but find something to do, some passion that does some good in society. I don't care what it is. If it's a small business, if it's a nonprofit, something. This to me would be my final food for thought for anyone that's stayed through this long through this video. I salute y'all, love y'all. Man, throw me some love. It's not easy to talk about these things, but I'm telling you, if you plan to move abroad, make sure that you don't plan too much because you're going to let yourself down, but also be open, like, of course, be open-minded, but figure out a purpose. Don't think I'm just going to go sit on the beach and drink martinis, even if you're old, even if you're retired, even if you've got money in the bank. It's a purposeless life. And at some point, there's going to be a light switch that goes off. You're like, I'm sitting here watching all these people work, you know, but you've got talents locked in here, talents locked in here. And what are you doing with them? So with that being said, I love y'all. Let me know what you think. I'm signing out. Y'all have a good evening.